Hey guys, welcome to Fanfic Friday for the week of the 24th, I believe it is. This is, I think, number 12, 13, 14, somewhere. We're in the teenage...
Probably at like 16,
we're in the
I think.
Puberty of fanfiction.
We're past puberty.
No, we're at a teen.
If anything goes together, it's fanfiction and puberty. I think you guys will agree with that.
God knows I do.
If you've never watched one of these videos, what we do is we pull 4 strips of paper out of 3 hats. 2 are characters, 1 is a location, and 1 is a scenario. And they're completely randomized, but we have to write a story in the space of 30 minutes involving those categories and those particular choices from the categories. So it's often a very mixed bag. It's
literally.
Literally, yes. And we do our best to tell a story within that time, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. No.
Sometimes
that
it's
sounds
porn.
that sounds like
Not
adulthood.
really.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's porn.
Kelly,
Yay.
you're learning a lot today.
You're learning so much. Ah!
So the characters I drew this week were Big E from the WWE's faction, the Tag Team Champions, the New Day. Big E Langston is his full name. The Slenderman. It's not his full name. No.
On his birth certificate?
It is. Slenderman is also not on his birth certificate, but that is the second character.
Does he have one?
He has many death certificates.
Was he born? I want to hear that.
At some point he was Slender Baby.
Oh,
Weird.
That's not all. That is not
cute.
all.
A
his
faceless
little
baby?
faceless baby
John Cena.
with probably tentacle long arms.
Probably tentacle
It'd be
long
cute.
arms.
If he's small.
The location is the mansion from Clue, which in England is called Cluedo.
Boo!
Yay!
Go back to Russia.
Are we
What?
booing the concept of different names for the movie or the game, or are we booing England?
We're booing England.
And that was suggested by Ratio Tile, spelled R-A-Y-S-H-I-O, Tile. And the scenario is contemplating becoming a sex worker, which was suggested by Ash Taylor. Thank you, Ash Taylor.
Sometimes it is porn!
Thank you, Ash Taylor, for
I'm
that
really
one.
excited. I can't wait for Biggie and or Slenderman to be streetwalkers.
There will be and/or involved. Or murder victims! Don't you dare be sour! Clap for your world-famous 2-time champs and feel the power! Big E's words vibrated throughout the silent mansion, almost as wildly as his hips, as he gyrated them rhythmically alongside his teammates Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods.
I'm really
all I
sad that
wanted. That's all
Slenderman
I
is
wanted.
not part of the tag team.
His expression unchanging, the same wide-eyed, thirsty grin plastered across his face as he swung his thick, muscular frame in a cartoonish display of confidence.
Yes.
"That's right, all you serial killers out there," announced Xavier, who hopped and pranced throughout the confluence of cobwebs that decorated the corridor. His faithful trombone Francesca, too, held inches from his lips as he spoke. Your murderous spree of violent killings is nothing next to the power of positivity. Thank you.
I really hope that's how they fight crime, is just by going up to murderers and being like, bunnies! Cats!
Well, it would work.
Would it?
I would stop what I was doing.
Well, but you're
Tilly.
not a normal murderer.
She's being so cute.
That's how you stop crime right
Yes.
there. That is a crime.
She is the power of positivity.
Kofi Kingston skipped amicably beside them, their glow-in-the-dark unicorn horns lighting their way as they progressed through the spookiest part of the death trap of a house they found themselves trapped within. It had been an odd day. They awoke to the sound of their own theme music playing on their New Day brand alarm clocks, stuffed their faces with a bowl of bootios, they make sure you ain't booty, TM, and they had cavorted out into the front yard to collect their mail. Yes, they all lived in the same bright pink and blue house with a picket fence, with their very own robot maid who was programmed to always be positive and talk like Arthur Fonzarelli. He was still learning how to shake his butt in time with the 3 of them.
Wait, hold on. They have a male robot maid?
They have a robot maid as a guy. It has to be like muscular and women can be muscular and thick too, but it just has to match the Francesca is the token female.
The feel.
Of course,
Gotta
if we
match the
had
feel
more than
of
one
their-
woman in this story, it'd be too confusing.
They can't wrestle with a woman.
Hold on, so they live in this mansion?
No. They At the beginning of the day, they awoke in their house and they went to get the mail. I'm still describing what happened earlier in the day. They wound up in the house, the mansion. 3 letters had arrived inviting them to spend the night in a mansion, and they would not only win $1 million each, but they would be given a guaranteed WWE Hall of Fame contract. Money was no boon to Big E, for he was rich in spirit and thigh muscles. But to be entered into the Hall of Fame, the chance to shake his backside at a crowd of thousands of emotional fans, why, that was a no-brainer. They had made it here alongside a dozen other wrestlers they'd known and feuded with at some point in their careers. Triple H, Cesaro, John Cena, The Undertaker, so many had arrived to try their luck at simply waiting inside a building for a good 12 hours, if only for the chance at such a generous reward. Then, to their shock, they quickly learned that they had been lured here with the intention of killing each of them off one by one.
No.
At dinner, Stephanie McMahon had been found drowned in the punch bowl. Later in the evening, Cesaro had been found deathly quiet, a brass ring shoved down his throat, causing him to choke.
But he's so cute.
And dead. The Undertaker had been found literally buried alive in the basement, and John Cena, well, let's just say at this point, his remains were nowhere to be seen.
But hold on. The Undertaker should be used to being buried alive at this point, shouldn't he?
He should be, but it's still bad.
I mean,
it's still
but
going to
if
have an
Uma Thurman
effect.
can punch her way out of a coffin.
He's no Irma Thurman. He's no Irma Thuman.
Yeah.
Bart.
Irma Thuman is my favorite
Irma
actress.
Thuman is my favorite Paulsblatz. I bet it's Virgil, declared Kofi after they had successfully scurried from one end of the corridor to the other, finding themselves in the master bedroom. Grand paintings of the mansion's former residents surrounded them, and a 4-poster bed lay undisturbed in front of them. He's probably killing us all off one by one so he can collect our $1 million. That guy would do anything for some cash. No, he's always trying to get fuck money, Big E clarified.
What?
And frankly, it's insulting. Why would you want to pay Virgil for a lay when you have me standing right here at over 285 pounds, and most of them is my delicious rump?
Glorious.
Anyone would pay to take a bite out of these buns. Big E Langston rushed forward and leapt onto the bed, which strained audibly at the sheer density of his frame. He began twerking and grinding against all 4 corners of the bed, and followed it up by prostrating himself upon it and pretending to swim in the covers, his gargantuan legs splayed outwards and revealing more of himself than would be appropriate for a PG-13 product.
Hold on, so did he simultaneously twerk all 4 sides of the bed?
He's pretty talented.
So his juicy rump is just like everywhere.
He's real good at it.
He was rubbing himself on all the surfaces in the room.
My face is gonna be sore by the end of this one.
I wish I were a surface in that room.
Yes, you would make a fantastic male prostitute, Xavier agreed.
Okay. Didn't even call him a gigolo. A fantastic male prostitute.
Brandishing Francesca too and idly stroking his chin in contemplation of Big E's glutes. Just like in Grand Theft Auto, where you can hire a prostitute and then murder them and take their cash. It's pretty lit, baby! Why are you always bringing up all these random-ass video game references? Asked Kofi, his dreads twitching in frustration. I gotta promote my YouTube channel, up, up, down, down. It's lit, baby!
Pokemon.
Xavier cackled. Speaking of lit, that's the opposite of what the room had become. Without New Day realizing it, the candlelight within the room had dimmed to the point of casting them into almost pitch blackness. Big E sprang from the bed, his feet connecting with the floor. He reached out to grab at his tag team partners, who in turn reached out to touch him. Soon they were in a bedroom, touching and groping each other in exaggerated, panicky fashion. This is worse than the time we showed up at the Wyatt compound, Kofi said through chattering teeth. They all gathered close together, and for a moment Big E was certain he could feel an extra 4th pair of hands cupping at his copious buttocks. He gasped, his perpetual smile disappearing for a second, and he called out defiantly, "Who dares threaten the power of positivity?" They each turned their heads, their unicorn horns casting a colourful light upon the tall...
What are they wearing, though?
They do that all the time.
All the time.
It is
But they're-
dark.
Like, this is not an appearance. I'm just, like,
Why would you
upset
question that?
that they are, like, they're like, we're going to a house, so we have to go in, like, full regalia, including
Power
our
of
glow.
positivity!
Hey,
But
they've been offered a
they're really
WWE Hall of
beacon
Fame
of light.
contract. There's going to be media there.
That's true.
But there's not.
There's gonna be.
How do you know?
When?
You don't
They
know
assumed.
that. Shut up, I want to hear more about Biggie's butt.
They each turned their heads, their unicorn horns casting a colourful light upon the tall, terrifying spectre that loomed over them. It stared pensively with no eyes, its arms thrown out at either side, and where there should have been hands, Biggie could swear he saw impossibly long finger-like claws.
Give me $20.
It appeared for all the world like a mockery of a human being, like a mannequin that had come to life and shifted into some otherworldly shape. The New Day reacted the way you might expect them to, by laughing, dancing around the creature, and shaking their butts enthusiastically. Oh, Slenderman! Don't you dare be sour! Clap for your world-famous two-time champs and feel the power! Cried Biggie, clapping his hands in sync with the words as he began to chant, New Day rocks! New Day rocks! That's right, slender fool! Xavier laughed, his eyes bugging out as he realized he was addressing one of the most popular video game characters from 2012. You think you could just murder us all and act like we got no beef? Well, we got beef, my man. A lot of beef. And it's right here. That tricep meat! Xavier gestured to Biggie as he swayed defiantly at the eldritch horror.
Is tricep meat really, like, in demand?
That's what Xavier likes to talk about.
I didn't think that that was the most delicious part of the cow, was the tricep meat.
Might be not delicious, but it's filling.
Okay.
It's delicious.
I mean, I guess if we're talking about Big E's triceps.
Big E's
then.
tricep, he's very filling.
But I like
Big
this.
E is very filling. Yeah, and you're not gonna be able to get away with this! And do you know why? Kofi asked the eternal question. The Slenderman hovered malevolently as he awaited their inevitable response to their rhetorical inquiry. Because! Big E screamed. New Day rocks! New Day rocks! They gathered into a circle, ring around the rosy fashion, and began chanting their mantra over and over. New Day rocks! New Day rocks. Sadly, the power of positivity was only so powerful, and Slenderman succeeded in devouring them and their souls, leaving behind only their wrestling gear and the trembling body of Francesca too. From the shadows...
the unicorn horns weren't there. Weren't there.
Their wrestling gear. They
I
do
like
wear
to
it
think
sometimes.
that Slenderman's just like,
He might. From the shadows, a man stepped forward toward Slenderman and gave a crooked smile, patting the bed beside them. Time to get my fuck money, Virgil.
What have you done?
why?
Virgil growled seductively, falling back onto the bed and beckoning the Slenderman to join him.
Who hired who in this situation?
Virgil wanted some
Virgil-
fuck money.
So Slenderman
There's no guarantee
hired
that there's no
Virgil?
guarantee that they have any kind of relationship up until this moment. He might have just wandered into the room.
And he just was like, Slenderman, do you want to pay me to fuck me?
That's what Virgil does.
But does Slenderman take him up on it?
That's.
He
I mean,
joined him on the bed.
would you read more of this story, guys?
I would read more of this story if only to find out who contracted who.
If there was an entire chapter describing things that Big E does to a room, I would read more.
Okay.
And about his rump.
There are
room.
many rooms in the mansion.
There's the
The
library.
kitchen.
Is there a kitchen?
I don't know, but I hope so.
There's
You guys
a
played Clue
hallway.
before?
Well, we
It's been
play
a
the
long
Office
time.
Clue.
He rubbed himself on that too.
So for this week, going back to Big E's bottom, I have sort of a similar theme when it comes to my fan fiction. For the characters, I drew Vision from Marvel and Jar Jar Binks, suggested by Jacob from Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
Thank you.
Suggested by Jacob Edelman, so you can thank him in the comments.
Thanks, Jacob.
Thanks, Jacob.
The location was California Adventure, suggested by Rico Fernandez, and the scenario is a rump shaking contest.
Who suggested that?
Trigun Kwan.
Oh,
Oh yeah! I drew that guy before, I think.
sweet. That guy is a man after my own heart.
He's a
Why
fan fiction
fighting
Friday
my-
veteran. Pale eyes met with the horizon, speckled with curiously shaped mountains in the distance. Humans stood before him with a thick frequency, each chattering feverishly at the other with excitement that couldn't be contained.
I really hope it's from Jar Jar's perspective right now. I know it's not, but I really think it would be great if Jar Jar had this intellectual inner monologue going. And
No,
he's
that's
like,
gonna be the sequel.
pretty!
A stage rested proudly in the center of the square they all stood in, tucked behind trolley tracks and resting beside a spike of a building elegantly labeled Carthay Circle. Something wrong, my friend? Zenyatta's voice broke through
Why?
Vision's thoughts.
Why is he there?
You'll find out. Zenyatta's voice broke through Vision's thoughts, the humming electronic voice creating thin lines of interference across his line of sight. Not at all, Vision said, bringing his eyes to meet the reflective steel gaze of his friend. Merely wondering why we're in California Adventure when we were here to celebrate the opening of the Star Wars park? Were Zenyatta capable of expressing emotion physically or otherwise?
Is he not?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Robot.
He's a robot, and he's like a Zen robot.
But he wants to, like, be... I mean, yeah, you're right. It's kind of cheating to be a robot and try and be Zen. You could just
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm pissed, but... Were Zenyatta capable of expressing emotion physically? That's very ironic that I was like, I'm pissed about this robot
I was confused.
having an advantage over me when it comes to emotions. The robot might have looked sheepish. However, he wasn't, so he didn't. He regarded Vision with his normal calm demeanor, saying simply, well, unfortunately the passes I had were a 2 parks, 1 price sort of deal, so we can only get in here today. Floating serenely a few feet over the ground, Zenyatta gestured around himself with the peaceful intention as children darted under and around him, staring and laughing at him with wide eyes.
They gotta be careful, man.
But look, there is still plenty of celebration to be had, and disappointment. Disappointment is happiness hid behind a differing set of circumstances. Vision completed the sentence for him, and despite the mantra, was still unable to stop a slight sigh. I know, Master.
Whose master is who? What?
I'm gonna explain.
Okay.
Vision is Zenyatta's master.
Okay.
No, the other way around.
Okay.
Zenyatta, because Genji is Zenyatta's student.
Okay.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I did not sign up for this.
Well, because Genji has like a robotic body,
Right.
and he was very like at odds with himself, and he didn't feel comfortable, so he went to Zenyatta to study under him, and Zenyatta made him feel comfortable. So like whenever you're in the Nepal area, Genji's like, this is the only area I truly feel at peace.
Racist.
And Zenyatta like whenever he throws like those healing orbs at Genji, he's like, here you go, student.
Oh.
So-
Okay. Cool.
Upon his metamorphosis to semi-organic material, Vision frequently found himself at a loss, awkwardly attempting to deal with the switch from an artificially intelligent program to a sentient being was quite difficult, with all the thoughts, sensations, and yes, even emotions that came with it. Having heard of an Omnic that was capable of bridging the gap between man and machine, Stark had sent Vision to be trained by Zenyatta only a few months before. It had been a relief finding a way to compartmentalize the new impulses his half-supernatural, half-robot, half-organic brain brought along with it, as well as the increased capability for error.
This is gonna lead into a butt-shaking contest.
It sure is.
I'm excited.
Training had been going swimmingly, or floatingly, and so to blow off some steam, Zenyatta suggested they visit Disneyland, as both were fans of the Star Wars franchise and the opening of... Shut up. And I mean, like, come on.
It's
There's
okay.
lots of robots
It's
and very
fine.
positive...
No,
Fanfics,
droids are
that makes
slaves.
sense.
Yeah, but I'm saying like they're representing R2D2. R2D2 is like a step forward. He's like a
They're
robot
secretly
icon.
here to picket like robot control in Star Wars.
Yeah. No,
Shake
maybe.
robots.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I haven't thought about the social repercussions of Star Wars on robots. Zenyatta suggested they visit Disneyland, as both were fans of the Star Wars franchise, and the opening of the new Star Wars land did not excite them because they were robots, but it did intrigue them. So when they had an opportunity to go, Vision was quite glad to take his master up on the offer. However, the day resulted in them going to California Adventure instead. Vision could not admit he was disappointed, as Zenyatta would only have him repeat the previous mantra, but his happiness had some interference. How's everybody doing today? A piercing voice erupted from the speakers on either side of the
You
stage,
knew it was coming.
I forgot about it though.
and there were equal parts groaning and cheering as a familiar face took the stage. Musical Jar Jar Binks, and it's such a great good thing to be seeing you here at Disney Park. Vision did not have eyebrows, but if he did, they would certainly be
I like-
raised.
Disney Park almost sounds like Jar Jar's trying to say Disney Park or something like Disney Park.
We may never know.
Come to Disney World. On Tumble.
Mai is here to send many thanks on behalf of Disney Walt Disney peoples for choosing the California Adventure for today. Who here is liking to shake in their bacon?
He calls. Okay.
No one knew what the Gungan was referring to, so a confused smattering of applause rippled painfully through the audience. Jar Jar remained unfazed.
More rippling.
Bombad! Then let's get this started. If you want to be part of the Rump and Shakin', get up on the stage so Wishin can get the judging underway! I don't know why he's turning into a fucking...
German.
Yeah. Jar Jar seemed a little too gleeful to admit that he was in a position to judge other people. Vision was shoved lightly from behind, his master looking at him with a mischievous glint in his eye.
Oh, no.
Or it could have been the well-placed reflection from the sun. Oh,
The well-placed reflection.
yeah, I don't know, because he doesn't really have eyes.
Right.
Oh no, I couldn't possibly. Vision was abruptly cut off. We must elevate beyond our own embarrassment. Think of the gaps we could fill between humans and Omnics if you were to make the first move.
Oh my god.
Yes, master. Vision floated to the platform, a wondrous hush falling across the crowd. Jar Jar fell back, landing in a pile of shit.
Where? What? Where did it even come
What?
from?
I forgot about this.
Poop!
Jar Jar fell back, landing in a pile of shit that hadn't been there a moment before, but was placed carefully there to enhance the comedy of the fall. No one laughed. Everyone was silent, waiting for the Scarlet Man to speak.
Oh, shite.
Scarlet Man.
It is my duty, he paused, closing his eyes and continuing to speak despite himself, to shake that booty. But Vision had no booty to shake.
He can make booty.
Jar Jar looked at the cyborg's backside incredulously. You so flatter than them pancakins! No, not in pancakins! Crepins! They're not in fluffy at all! What in hammer you so to shake? Vision closed his eyes, focusing on his rump. It grew 3 sizes that day, resting plumpfully lower, closer to his
His
thighs.
favorite day.
The crowd gasped. He squatted, then thrust his hips out once, feeling the flesh of his new ass shake with insistence. Jar Jar folded his arms, eye stalks regarding him dubiously as he took a moment to decide if that was cheating. Vision met the other's gaze with no fear, shaking again with the same level of intensity. This time the twerk was met with a heavy beat, and everyone cheered as Vision continued his dance, and soon everyone forgot that his bottom was fake because they were too busy shaking their own. Everyone won the contest. The end.
Everyone won.
I ran out of time.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful story.
I really liked it, but there is one note. He's not a robot, he's a synthesoid.
Okay, I'm so sorry that I got that made up fact
You
wrong.
miss species. You
You-
miss species.
You can't speak, so it doesn't matter.
Wow.
How it ends.
That was possibly harsh. But
You are unable to communicate, so your opinion means nothing. You misrepresented his species.
I did, and I apologize to all synthesoids. I apologize to every synthesoid watching right now.
I apologize to synthesizers.
I apologize to synthetic materials.
We're so sorry.
Alrighty, so this week
What'd you get?
I got Pearl, which was recommended by the abridged Karibo, probably a distant
Not
relative,
me. No.
Maybe a smaller version of you.
Estranged. We don't
estranged
talk
cousin.
about him.
Okay, I'm sorry. And then we have Dat Boi, that was recommended by Robin T. In the Belly of a Whale, and they are Hunting, which was recommended by Isaac Kramer.
Inside of a whale?
Really? That's
In-
like
The Belly of a Whale.
that's like the opposite of shooting fish in a barrel.
Well, you don't even know what they're hunting yet, so.
That's true. Could be hunting for love.
In all of her experiences fighting other gems and beasts across the stars, Pearl felt a bit stupid for being swallowed by a whale. She knew Jasper was causing Lapis trouble, and their fusion wasn't going to last for much longer. Instead of approaching the situation in a calm and collected manner as she would have wished, noticing Stephen was already off in the distance on the ocean had her leaving with very little preparation. By the time she had reached where he was far out at sea, he seemed further away than their initial distance. Peridot was going to be in plenty of trouble for building Stephen a helicopter, especially one that she was positive didn't follow proper safety precautions for children. Stephen! I'm going to come.
Proper safety precautions for children's helicopters? Are there such a thing as a child's helicopter?
Budgie.
Peridot
Budgie.
can build
Budgie the
it.
little helicopter. You guys didn't have him?
No.
I remember that word.
Budgies are like parakeets.
Mm-hmm. And it was Budgie the little helicopter. And his own little series of books and a TV show.
So Stephen rode inside of him.
I like
Yes.
to think so, yes.
Stephen! I'm going to come for you, don't worry!
He's a good pal.
Pearl exclaimed to the inside of the whale. It was then that she took in the full severity of what it meant to be inside of another animal's stomach. Okay, there has to be a way out of this creature without destroying it. Rose would be furious if I killed a creature without proper cause. Guess I just have to figure something else out.
If she'd done the right paperwork, it'd be fine.
I know, but, you know, Pearl's a gem.
Also, Pearl tried cock blocking Rose like 12 times and Rose was cool with it. I think Rose is pretty chill. Also, Rose is a murderer. They're all murderers.
Pearl thought of a chart-like image of the whale, with possible exiting options being the mouth, blowhole at the top of the head, and the other option that would be saved for the last-ditch effort only.
More butts! This is a themed episode.
It is a
It
themed
is.
episode.
This is Fanfiction Butt Friday. Fanfiction Fridays!
Hey.
It was then that she heard faint creaking of a single wheel being pedaled further in the distant shadows of the stomach. Who's there? Reveal yourself! Pearl cried at the dark. The pedaling stopped for a brief moment before resuming at a faster click, stopping dramatically and starting 3 to 4 times before bringing the figure just out of the light from Pearl's gem. Get on with it! Pearl said, exasperated. Just as a green frog riding a unicycle emerged from the shadows, Pearl found herself yelling, "Oh shit, it's Dat Boi! What up?"
Why does she know?
That's her natural reaction.
Just wait, it's coming. The moment the final syllable rang from her mouth, she clasped her hands over her mouth, looking around with wide eyes, not understanding if that was her voice, and if it was, why was she forced to say it? The frog remaining motionless, despite his arms being kept out wide to keep his balance, which he didn't seem to be struggling with. His creaking wheels took action to move him just out of the shadows and re-entered the area, to which Pearl cried again, "Oh shit, it's Dat Boi, what?" Her eyes widened in fear and shock, realizing that not only was it her voice, but this frog seemed able to control her at will.
Oh my god.
The frog took the next few minutes wheeling in and out of the light, making Pearl exclaim, "Oh shit, it's Dat Boi! Oh shit, it's Dat Boi, what up? Oh shit, it's Dat Boi! Oh shit, what
Marianne is broken.
Marianne.exe has stopped working.
Oh.
Tell it.
Oh my gosh, are you crying?
Yes. Just like, what the fuck? He's like Slenderman? Only he's Slender.
You gotta wait, it's
Dat Boi.
There's only a little bit left. There's only a little bit left. The frog stopped at the final call. Pearl had said it incorrectly every time, but this time in particular was the last straw. Pearl's nerves were frayed. She had no idea whether this would be the rest of her life or if the whale would poof her, like turning her into a gem. Or if the whale would poof her, leaving her stuck forever at the bottom of the ocean. As the frog approached her, she felt the urge to scream but tried to remain calm. He wheeled past her about 20 feet, and his neck stretched to a disgusting degree to be near her face. So like 20 feet back. Follow that boy! Oh wait. Follow Dat Boi! The frog said in a deep and menacing voice.
I would not picture that from that fucking frog.
The frog said in a deep and menacing voice. Pearl followed the frog for several terrifying minutes, and as they seemed to reach an impasse, the frog held out his arms wide and declared in a booming echo, "Here come Dat Boi!" The passageway opened, revealing that the whale was not only at the surface of the water, but had returned Pearl's boat in perfect working order. Pearl recognized that she was being freed and quickly hopped into the boat, yelling an unsure, "Thank you?" back to the unicycle-riding frog that sat atop the whale's tongue. As the whale descended to the depths and closed its mouth, the frog, disappearing behind the massive maw, locked eyes with her, giving one final warning. "Don't talk to me or my sons ever again."
Wait, the whale is his son then?
I have no idea.
Okay. What were they hunting? They were hunting Jasper?
Yeah, they were
Okay.
trying to find Jasper and Lapis,
I get
because
it.
something was wrong, but...
Something was wrong.
Something was wrong. I had no idea what I was doing with this story.
Okay, no, it was fun though.
Yeah, it got way better after the...
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Oh shit,
But
look
yeah.
at that putt.
that's... that's my story. So, if you want to read these stories without us talking to each other, you can go to Archive of Our Own and look up 3 hats, which is the method that we use to pick out our stories. Someone
Check
want to
the
explain?
video description and you can click the link and you'll be able to read all those stories that you just
Yeah.
heard.
It'd be so cool.
And more.
And if you want to make suggestions for what we should pull out of the hats, feel free to comment below. Remember that they all have to be independent of each other, so you can't say, like, Ronald McDonald and the Hamburglar discuss the politics of the meat industry in a abandoned warehouse.
Has that been bothering you for a while?
That whole meat industry situation has been bothering you? It's
Yes.
been bothering all of us.
Meat is meat. That's my slogan.
That's a
Glorious
statement
meat.
for sure.
Did you know that burgers are edible? Fun fact.
Wow!
People don't talk about that enough.
No. Awareness. Hamburgers are made of ham and burgers.
So we hope you've been made aware of that, and we hope that you also are aware that we'll be back next week with more fan fiction and more shame.
Lots of shame.
Lots of that.
We're losing dignity every week. So.
Caitlyn's hugging all of that.
Yeah. The dignity?
The indignity. The shame.
Oh, yeah. No, I have that in full supply.
Yay.
Woo!
Yeah.
Low self-esteem.
Woo!